Beautiful friends, Satnam, welcome, hola. I am so happy to be here with you once again today. I hope you're all having a beautiful, amazing day. I feel that something really strong is brewing. And I feel like that cauldron's about to bubble and boil over its edge. I don't know if you could feel the same and have been feeling the same. I've been feeling this for a while. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I do have a darn good feeling on what this may entail and does entail. I believe strongly that absolutely everything in our lives is about to shift and change. Not long from now, we're going to look back with complete shock as to how much everything has changed. By the time we get to January 1st of this year, I'm going to discuss my feelings about this today, along with some other topics. Just a few weeks ago, I warned, or Spirit warned, of an increase that would occur when it comes to animal attacks, including, of course, disturbing vision that I had described of a person being attacked by a bear. And sadly, I just never thought that this would hit so close to home. Right here in Prescott, Arizona. Well, I'm not in Prescott, Arizona, but I'm in Arizona. We just had, over the weekend, a man who was gnawed to death by a bear. And this increase of animal attacks and shark attacks has already begun. So we're going to discuss that today. We talked about the accident prone energy that's been happening for quite some time. This accident prone energy would involve trains, planes, automobiles, and boats. Another thing I just would have never thought of was submarines as well. As you probably know by now, a Titanic, the great Titanic that sunk, tour submarine. So, if you're wealthy, and wealthy people that have nothing better to do and have lots of money to blow, can blow 250 grand for a tour of the deep depths where the Titanic has sank. But now a submarine, Titanic tour submarine has gone missing. And I assure you that all those waters around where the great Titanic once upon a time sank back in 1912, I assure you that those waters contain many angry spirits. Could the spirits be responsible for this missing submarine? Or was it just maybe the mermaids or something else? We're going to talk about that today. We hear a lot about the alleged white hats versus black hats. We hear it all the time, and the whole phrase of white hats has been viral so much since 2016. But is there any truth behind their actual existence of both white hats and black hats? More importantly, where was this theory even derived from? Like, who says that white hats have to be good guys and black hats have to be bad guys? What if I told you that it's actually reversed and everything's backwards? Remember, I remind you, Lucifer is the great deceiver. So, are people actually being deceived and perhaps maybe the black hats are the good guys? Or perhaps all of it's just a chapter out of a sci-fi novel? We're going to discuss that important information today. Spirit warned us about crazy shifts in the energy when it comes to our weather and past predictions. I stated that there would be a late spring, or not late spring, but I said spring snowstorms, rare spring snowstorm. But again, I would have never imagined it would be a super late blizzard that ended up hitting in Colorado just about a week ago. While a cyclone in India is responsible for at least 3 deaths. And today, there's a warning for other incoming storms, cyclones, and earthquakes, a message that you're going to want to listen to. I spoke in the past about upcoming health issues when it comes to Pope Francis, who just spent quite some time in the hospital, as you probably know. How much time does Pope Francis actually have left as being a pope? Is he going to step down or fall from failing health? We're going to discuss that, but at the same time, the Vatican just spoke out about aliens and UFOs, denying, of course, the claims of the whistleblower that talked about the Vatican covering up stories of aliens and UFOs. We cover more of this and more truth and predictions about the Vatican and the true alien UFO disclosure. Is that disclosure actually right around the corner? I mean, we've already had so much disclosed, but what is real and what is not real is the question. We're going to cover these topics today and cover when true disclosure will actually occur. Spirit told us when it comes to things unraveling in Hollywood that we would see the sign. If you remember, I had visions of the Hollywood sign collapsing and falling, which I took as being more symbolic of a fall of Hollywood, or again, perhaps an earthquake that also hits Hollywood. But I'm going to go with the first instinct of there's going to be many things unraveling as Hollywood begins to fall. And you know, China owns most of Hollywood now. They bought up most of it and they'll continue buying it up. So, going back to the whole subject of Hollywood and the evil that's lurking in Hollywood, have you heard that now Mel Gibson has pledged to expose the truth when it comes to the people caught up in traffic, if you know what I mean? And not only that, Mel Gibson pledges to expose the truth along with a new movie called The Sound of Freedom. The Sound of Freedom, put together by former CIA operative Tim Ballard and, of all people, Tony Robbins, who is the executive producer. Is this going to and about to expose more truth and really blow the lid off of things? Because they're already trying to shut this movie down. We're going to talk about that today. In the United States over the weekend, it's been reported by many of you and throughout social media that military vehicles and military choppers were moving into big cities like Philadelphia and bringing concerns and fears to the local people. What is going on? They say it's all just drills, but don't they warn us ahead of time before there's drills? Why are they all of a sudden moving into our cities with these drills all within one weekend? What's coming up that they know about that they're not telling us? Did you know the WEF wants to pose a 75% reduction in cars? While in Italy, they just changed Pride Month to Family Pride, along with fiber optic lines that were just mysteriously severed up there in Alaska. Remember, I've been warning Alaska for a while, but I wouldn't have thought of a cut fiber optic line over a cut pipeline. So we're going to talk about all this, always some new predictions, and much more on this episode, number 71 of Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time and Wacky Wednesdays if you're on the other side of the planet. Again, I am so happy to be here with you today. It is always an honor and privilege. And if you're new here, every Tuesday I am here talking about big stories and how they relate or may relate to predictions and prophecies, along with new predictions and prophecies and my feedback that you want to hear on big events that are happening in the world. So welcome again to my channel, back to my channel. If you're new here and you want accurate predictions, truth, and prophecy, then you found the perfect tribe. Smash that there, subscribe. I thank all of you for showing your love by smashing that like button. And down below, you can find all the links to my social media, including my PayPal and the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community. My supporters make all this free content possible for all of you, and we are so very, very grateful for that love and support. What else did I want to? Oh yeah, and tomorrow on the solstice, I will be hosting the second episode of Q&A, questions and answers about world events and things that are going on. Anything that you want to tap into the brain of a spiritual medium and have questions for about world events, spirituality, and so forth, then you're going to want to join me for the second episode of the live Q&A tomorrow. So if you have questions, I want to do it ahead of time instead of just through the chat. So I ask you that if you have a good question or a good topic I can cover in tomorrow's Q&A, be sure to leave it down below in the comment section of this video. Not other videos, not personal questions. So with that, I look forward to seeing you all for that tomorrow. So before we get into the juicy stuff, first, a little short inspirational message to welcome in the solstice light and bid farewell to another season. And all this information, of course, and all my messages are all channeled through from Spirit. I worked really hard on this before presenting it to you and making this recording and broadcast. So as the sun reaches its highest point in the sky coming up tomorrow, and the longest day of the year unfolds before us, we stand at a threshold of summer, and we bid farewell to the enchanting season of spring. Today, let us all embrace the beauty and energy of this celestial dance and what it has to offer for us, and allow it to ignite a spark within our souls, your soul, my soul, and everybody's souls. Summer solstice marks a time of abundance, a time of growth, and a radiant, beautiful warmth that comes from our beautiful sun. It is a reminder that the sun, and as the sun illuminates our planet and the world, we too possess this beautiful inner light within us that can shine brightly upon all the things that we do in our lives and on our life path. So let this day today serve you as a reminder of the incredible power and amazing potential that lies within each and every one of us, including you. So as we bid aloha to spring and goodbye to spring, aloha's hello, sorry, my bad. As we bid adieu to spring, the season of new beginnings and blossoming dreams, let us all together reflect on the seeds that you have sown and the growth that you have nurtured. Take this moment to appreciate the progress that you have made, the lessons that you have learned, and the transformational experiences that you have experienced. All really, really important, as each step forward, no matter how small, no matter how big, has brought us closer to becoming the best versions of ourselves that we can possibly be. And that's what I always personally strive to do, is to be the best version of me that I can possibly be, each and every day, making it better and better. So now, as we stand at this threshold of summer, envision the possibilities that do lie ahead for all of us on a personal level and universal level. I tell you to dream big, set ambitious goals, and let the warmth of the sun fuel your aspirations. Embrace the adventures, the laughter, and the moments of pure joy that await you and await all of us. Remember that the summer solstice is not only a celebration of the sun's magnificence, but it is also a celebration of our own light, and that inner light that we must allow to shine ever so brightly. So it is a reminder that you do, all of us, possess the strength, the resilience, and the inner radiance to overcome any obstacle that may come your way. So, on this magical day and on the magical day of solstice, let the vibrant energy of the solstice infuse your spirits with renewed determination and unwavering possibilities. Embrace the beauty of the changing seasons and limitless potential that lies within you and lies within each and every one of us. Step boldly into the summer season and let your light shine brilliantly for everybody to see, for the world to see. And I wish you all a very happy summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere and a winter solstice in the Southern Hemisphere. And I wish you all and hope that your journey through the seasons is filled, of course, with abundant blessings and endless inspiration. Moving on to the juicy stuff, starting off with animal attacks. A 66-year-old man, not far from me, in Prescott, Arizona, was sadly mauled to death by a very rare bear attack. Again, this was in Prescott, Arizona over the weekend. And it was an unprovoked attack, according to officials, that occurred in Yavapai County. So prayers to the gentleman whose last name is Jackson and to the Jackson family. The last attack like such was back in 2011. So this aligns completely with what I said in predictions not long ago, that we were going to begin to see, according to Spirit, an increase in really odd and rare animal attacks. So Arizona wasn't the only bear attack just over this past week. Sadly, there was another one, but just the one in Arizona was the one that caused fatality. The other one happened in Alaska. And it was a similar scenario, but a different scenario. A grizzly bear mauled a hunter who actually fatally shot the bear in Alaska, according to officials. This time it was a 34-year-old hunter who actually survived an attack by a brown bear. So here in Arizona it was a black bear. A brown bear in Alaska before fatally shooting the animal over the weekend, according to state police. Nicholas Abraham of Sterling, Alaska, was mauled white rabbit hunting on Saturday. So both on the weekend. And I think the other one was Saturday too, which would be really odd. I don't have the other article in front of me, but it wouldn't be no surprise that they both happened on Saturday, but definitely both happened over the weekend. So Spirit did warn us, if you remember, that there would be rare and unusual animal attacks, including shark and whale attacks, and that we will continue to see a rise in this as the year progresses. I am seeing a vision today. I had lots of interesting visions today, some quite disturbing, like this one, a vision that included tigers. And I had a vision of a tiger getting loose and on the attack. And I just hope and pray that nobody, especially a child, doesn't end up in the path of this tiger, which feels like this could be the case. There will also be upcoming incidents involving potential animal attacks, animal bites, and this will come from all creatures, really. So you'll see more hospitals and people working in emergency room are going to see an influx of bites, whether it's insect bites, reptile bites, or animal bites. So I tell our friends who do work in the ER and emergency services to prepare yourselves for that, including odd bites or things that you haven't seen before. And even more so, we're going to see this potential animal attacks and bites when it comes to people visiting their local zoo. So be careful at your local zoo and always heed the warnings and the signs. And that's the problem, because I had a vision of one man not paying any attention to the signs, purposely paying the price for entering a restricted area when he enters and has an inability to escape the harm that comes to him. That's what he gets. I felt like he hopped over a fence or something that he shouldn't have hopped over. And then he can't get out. Then he's trapped, and we can only guess what happens from that point forward. And I felt like this might have been in a different country. I wasn't sure what. Maybe Australia might, but I'm not sure. One of these incidents, perhaps several incidents, will occur in India as well. While tourists, because we're seeing this happen a lot with tourists, and not even just with animal attacks, but tourists, we see it at the parks like Yellowstone National Park. I talked about that last week, really putting out a big warning and stopping people from getting out of their vehicles in certain parts of the park because of people's inability to have respect for the animals. You remember we talked about that last week. No need to go back into it. But I saw India, while tourists on an African safari are going to face extreme danger, but I do feel that one group will escape that danger with their lives still intact. Hallelujah for that. This accident-prone energy, again, this is where the tourists come in. You may have discovered by now that the less than smart, wealthy people who have nothing better to do with their money pay upwards of $250,000 to take a submarine tour of the great Titanic that sank in the Northern Atlantic in 1912. My friend's like, I would never do that. I'm like, I actually would. If I could go down there and know it was safe, I would do it. But we don't know it's safe. That's the thing. So therefore, I wouldn't do it. But you have heard about this incident now. The submarine that has gone missing with, I believe it was 4 passengers aboard. So this is just a simple, is this just a simple incident, or is it an accident, or are the waters over there where the Titanic sank maybe cursed? Because many people believe that's the case. And I'd agree with that. I would definitely agree that there are, especially down deep, when you go down deep, there's spirits roaming that they don't know that they're underwater. The water being underwater don't affect them. There's also what's referred to as residual energy. Residual energy is something that people constantly, totally interpret to be a ghost or a spirit, and it's not. I've gone into many homes that people thought were haunted, and a lot of times it's just residual energy. Energy sticks to walls, wood, stone, concrete, especially. And that energy hangs out where we feel like we're feeling something. What we're feeling is the energy, the emotions of an event that occurred in that space, sometime in the past. So therefore, yeah, there were a lot of fear and a lot of negative. And you got to also remember that that's what dark entities thrive on. They thrive on fear, and they thrive on fear. So, you're going to find ghosts and especially dark entities in places that bring up fear. Like, you'd be surprised that you'd see a spirit, a ghost, not a dark entity, but a ghost in general on an airplane, because people are afraid on airplanes for some reason. That feeds the energy of it. But especially something like the Titanic, no matter, even if it is 12,000 feet deep underneath that water. So Let's see, the article talks about a Hercules aircraft will fly over the area where the missing submersible could be, the Pentagon has said. Two C-130 military craft conducted a search and rescue flight on Monday, and the National Guard's C-130 flight will take place on Tuesday. That's today. The Department of Defense disclosed during a briefing attended by the CBS News. The U.S. Navy is also sending a salvage system to assist with the submersible, with equipment and service people arriving in Newfoundland on Tuesday night. So they're sending a salvage system. That's not good, friends. I mean, that's definitely not good. And I mean, we already know they're doomed. And what happened? What I got out of it is that there was some kind of puncture of this submarine. I don't feel like there is necessarily water in there. Maybe in part of the submarine, but not in where the people are. But I feel like more than anything that they couldn't breathe. So regardless, I mean, it's hard to say because they're underwater. They could have, if I feel that someone can't breathe, it could be because they're drowning. But they were in a submarine. It could be because the oxygen's gone. But I feel like they bumped something. Something bumped them. And I feel like, again, this was definitely caused by spirits that want to remain at peace deep down under. And they keep disturbing by taking these little tours of it. This will probably end the tours for quite some time, as it should, even though they'll probably still run it because rich people do lots of things that they're not supposed to because they have the money to do so. So, I would assume by now they're probably out of air. I forget how many hours. I think the last I heard they had 20 hours left of air, and that was yesterday. And again, we don't know how accurate or any of that is. But what we do know is that this would align perfectly with what I said about accidents on the waters, accidents and incidents with ships, boats. Submarines never popped in my mind, but still along the same lines as the waters and incidents and people being devoured by the oceans. Remember, Spirit just reminded me of a prediction I made earlier this year. I don't know how long ago, it might have even been in June predictions, that the ocean would be responsible for claiming more lives this year than maybe ever on record. That the ocean's definitely going to have a big effect on claiming lives, as it already has. We just saw I talked about a ship sinking and people drowning, and that just happened with immigrants. I forget where. I think it was by Italy, but don't quote me on that. So we are seeing this occur. So interesting enough, I did some numerology around this little Ocean Gate Titan, as it's called. The Ocean Gate Titan is the name of this underwater submarine that's lost at sea. I believe now it is right now 1:18 p.m. Pacific time in Arizona. So that you're watching this later. So I don't know what may have happened or what may conspire between now and the time I air this. But the numerology of Ocean Gate breaks out to a number 8. And I only did Ocean Gate first because it's at the top of the submarine and underneath it says Titan, even though it's all still considered one word and one vibration because it's all written on the side of the submarine. So Ocean Gate is an 8 vibration while Titan is a 1 vibration. And when we put them together, of course, we get a 9 vibration. So 9s are all about endings and death of cycles. And, you all know about it. You hear me talk about the numbers enough. So this clearly shows that it's not going to last long. You made something and gave it a name with a 9 vibration, which means it's not going to last long. It's going to end up coming to a tragic end, which it appears that may likely be the case. Most likely will be the case. This all aligns again with the prediction that we would see several accidents and incidents and much more of them than usual, as we again have been witnessing already over the past few months. So this goes for all forms of transportation, friends. This is including boats, submarines, trains, planes, automobiles, and all forms. Even more so, we're going to hear more and more about tourist-related disasters, injuries, perhaps even fatalities. So remember, I had a memory of the duck boat tours and the incident that occurred in Philadelphia years back. That was 5 or 6 years ago. the duck boat tours, and remember they got clipped by another ship that took them under and killed at least I think several people, and they ended the whole duck boat tours and don't allow it anymore from last I heard. So I had all those memories come back. So, and that was a boat full of tourists, of course, duck tours. Same with the submarine. It's a submarine with tourists that are doing a tourist related type thing. So I tell you that if you're a tourist touring anywhere, just be extra cautious and mindful, especially on a boat, because you can't escape when you're in the water. So make sure you have a life jacket on. Make sure you always have a plan. Not in a fearful way, but just in a prepared way. You can be prepared without going into fear, friends. So a boat of tourists capsized, and I thought of that. That makes me think that there would be another boat that would cause, many fatalities that sinks and such, besides this Ocean Gate Titan. Remember, also in my past predictions, a reminder of cruise ships. And I had that reminder of the cruise ship, which I predicted when it happened years ago off the coast of Italy. And I think I had the radio show then. For some reason, I think I was on the radio. I feel like it wasn't that long ago. Wow, that's a long time ago. So I remember that. And that was in my January 1st annual World Predictions. So that memory came back to me today, and it came back to me, a couple weeks ago. And I'm sure I mentioned it. So I would say that another incident, such as a cruise ship accidentally, bottoming out like it did in Italy, will become a reality, sadly, once again. It kind of reminds me also of the Titanic again, because the Titanic also was a cruise ship. It was a cruise ship for the wealthy and people, for the wealthy people that could afford it, especially back then in 1912. And the spirits who have cursed it in the northern Atlantic waters now, because that's definitely got some energy there, without a doubt. I wouldn't even want to float above it, because I could feel the energy just tapping in from here. I couldn't imagine what it's like on the actual spot. So Spirit says that there is so much more yet to come when it actually comes to the Titanic, that there's going to be newer discoveries and another nearby discovery. A discovery nearby, I felt like they're kind of investigating the Titanic, but stumble upon something else that they're not looking for. I feel like they're looking for something associated with the Titanic and end up stumbling upon some other type of discovery lying deep upon the ocean's floors. So I had a vision and I saw treasure being pulled out of the ocean waters. And this time, something different and something new in the realm of discoveries is what I felt with Spirit. So something different and something new in the realm of discoveries. I'm not one that follows all the discoveries of the oceans and the seas. So maybe you can leave a comment down below if you have an idea of what could be new and different in the world in the realm of discoveries that also unearths a treasure. Spirit also pulled me into the deepest parts of the ocean near Cuba. And I don't know where the deepest parts of the ocean near Cuba are. Again, maybe somebody can, let us know in the comments down below. But Spirit pulled me there today. And to the deepest part of the oceans near Cuba, showing me that there is so much more that lies beneath those waters in the area and within the Bermuda Triangle as well, that has yet to been discovered, but soon shall be discovered. Well, we know about Bimini Road, and that's in the Caribbean. We know about the pyramids found off the coast of Cuba. So what else are they going to discover? For part of me felt like it had something to do with the pyramids that are off the coast under the water near Cuba. So could it perhaps be that they're actually going to do an archaeological pull up of stuff from the ocean seas connected to that ancient pyramids that are buried there underneath the sea? I can't wait to find out. Personally, I love big discoveries. So speaking of the Bermuda Triangle, friends, this is interesting because, you don't really hear much about the Bermuda Triangle lately, but I believe you're going to hear about it mainstream once again in the near future, because I get a strong feeling that something lies right in the center of that triangle that is actually very similar to what lies beneath the soil at both Skinwalker Ranch in Utah and Bradshaw Ranch right here in Arizona. Actually, probably 5 miles in that direction, Bradshaw Ranch. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. So the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, Bradshaw Ranch in Arizona, a place which I previously done videos on Bradshaw Ranch in the past. I even did a live video from Bradshaw Ranch in the past. So if you're interested, I had some creepy experiences at Bradshaw Ranch. I would say watch the most recent one out of all the videos I did. And it's not recent, it was a couple years ago. But look at the last one I did on Bradshaw Ranch where I showed the evidence of the aliens and all that were present. It was pretty bizarre, pretty crazy. So go check it out. But going back to that, I believe that going back to the ranches, that there is basically some type of portal or more likely a wormhole that opens up access to different dimensions and different realities. We know that. I mean, I know that without a doubt with Bradshaw Ranch. And I'm sure it's the same with Skinwalker and the Bermuda Triangle, the center of it. I believe the direct center of it. So there's something there. And I believe that we're going to unravel those mysteries over the next decade. So, and again, that's probably more likely these ships that go missing, they are actually entering portals to different dimensions and realities. The government, Spirit told me, is very, very aware of all this, and they know everything about it. And they actually fear the day is coming where this information is going to go mainstream. They've investigated the heck out of it, according to Spirit. They know everything that's there. They even took things out of the water there. I don't know what they took out, but Spirit just said that. So we are going to soon witness another Bermuda Triangle mystery and a disappearance. So keep an eye on that. Several. Spirit just added several to that notion. So it's going to be because something disappeared and sank into the ocean. That's not going to be the case, friends. It's not going to be the case where if they try to tell us, oh, it sank in the ocean and we can't find it. Nope. Instead, Spirit says, no, it's going to pass through that triangle's wormhole. And what's going to travel out of it? That's the other question. Because that's how they come. You know, we know about the UFOs or UVPs that come out of the ocean. So anyway, let's move on to some weather right now because it's a little bit crazy in the world of weather. Spirit has been warning us about crazy shifts in the weather, and in past predictions, I stated here that there would be spring snowstorms, if you recall. And we did have one, but who would have ever thought that there'd be one a week before spring ends and goes into summer? And that's exactly what occurred over there in Colorado on, what was the date? Oh, where's the date? Well, raging blizzard at Pikes Peak forces evacuations. Visitors hoping to reach the summit at Pikes Peak near Colorado Springs on Monday have expected a serene moment at the top of America's mountain in June. It's June, after all, but several blizzard conditions forced the evacuation of the Pikes Peak summit complex. Footage from the summit of the mountain showed a raging blizzard, decreasing visibility to just a couple of feet, and high winds swirled around, buffering the car, blah, blah, blah. What did they get? Reported 6 to 8 inches. That's not that much, but hey, that's a lot for mid-June. That was last Monday, a week ago. So yeah, mid-June pretty much. That's insane, friends. And exactly what Spirit said we were going to witness. But now Spirit also says that hurricanes are coming early, according to Spirit, and be warned that we will likely see one, if not the biggest hurricane and or cyclones ever in history that are coming in the future. Not just hurricanes, but cyclones, which are basically the same and called something different in different parts. Spirit also warned that, and we talked about this, friends, weather warfare. We talked about it many times. Being now, according to Spirit, the weapon of choice, and that the evildoers, the elite, are actually getting ready to ignite their technology once again in Alaska. Interesting, right? Same place over there in Alaska. So we know from recent whistleblower that the Antarctic has a huge weather weapon system installed and is responsible for the quake that hit New Zealand long ago when they first tested this equipment, according to the whistleblower. If you watch it, he shows pictures, everything. And that guy is totally 100% telling you the truth, by the way. So if you question that particular whistleblower, and I think that was at Stephen Greer's event, he's 100% accurate, like 100% telling the truth, and you can just tell by his whole the way he presents himself. So, and Spirit says, and he mentioned that in the video, that in the disclosure, in the blowing of the whistle, that New Zealand earthquake was caused by it. I don't know which earthquake and when it was, but we know they also used that weapon, according to Spirit, in 2011 to pose that attack on the Japanese people with the tsunami and everything that happened there. That was another test on their equipment. And that's real close by where their equipment is. I mean, look at the map. Japan and Antarctic, pretty close. Not that it, I mean, look at how far away New Zealand is, and they made it happen. Other side of the planet. So, according to the whistleblower anyway, which, again, we know is definitely telling the truth as far as I'm concerned. So they also have been doing a lot of cloud seeding lately. Have you noticed that? They've been doing it for a long time, decades actually. And when you mention it, people are like, oh, that's conspiracy. That's all conspiracy. But now they're talking about it constantly. They tell us they're doing it. I did reports on it in certain countries. I forget. I think it was the Philippines. Don't quote me on that. But that we're doing a big cloud seeding mission. There was another cloud seeding mission that was done that actually ended up causing the floods of the century because they were messing with the weather. You do not mess with Mother Nature. We all know that, but they continue to do so. And you wonder why they scream that, change. Oh, the climate's changing. Well, of course it is, especially when you're manipulating stuff. It's not the cows farting, it's you messing with the weather with your technology. They have been cloud seeding, and again, they admit to doing so. But again, you tell the sleepers this, they'll still scream conspiracy theory. That's what they'll scream at you, even though you could show them an article right out of the newspaper and they'll say, that's a conspiracy. That's not true. They can't do that because they really, sadly, fear facing the actual truth. Spirit tells me that they are testing a new theory of weather manipulation above the ocean's waters over the summer months. So over these next few months, they're doing some kind of test. They will continue to test this new system. I don't know what this system is, but Spirit says it's a newer system that they're going to test, and they're going to test it on smaller storm developments with the agenda to increase the size and intensity of these small systems. They have used other methods, according to Spirit, in the past, but Spirit tells me this is something new. And this is something that's very dangerous. This type of secret technology is being held by the same circle of evildoers that run the Black Ops, and the Black Men in Black and the reverse engineered alien technology and so on. It's the same people. So therefore, most of the members of the government are not even aware of these technologies and would probably also yell conspiracy. And this includes the president, according to Spirit, when it comes to many technologies. The president does know about weather warfare, but does not quite know the magnitude or the prior use of this technology. This tech has the ability to create an unstoppable monster of a storm. So let us, friends, together hope that this monster storm that they create does not touch down on any land. Otherwise, in turn, we will end up witnessing the most devastating storm of the century. So let's hold in the light that they fail at their mission. I have a strong feeling that they purposely blew the whistle on this technology because they're getting ready to use it. So that whole whistleblower, I feel like, again, they would have taken them out. They want this to be disclosed for whatever reason. And that reason, I believe, is because they're about to use it. And, people won't put the pieces together, of course, only the smart ones like us. So therefore, I would tell you all to expect to see a record-breaking earthquake hitting perhaps one of the following countries. Of course, we'll put Russia at the top of the list. They may target Russia with a huge earthquake right in Moscow. Huge earthquake hitting Moscow and being created by their earthquake technology. Oh, I meant to pull the card out for you today, and I forgot. I'll go through it while I'm talking to you, see if I can find it. There's actually an Illuminati card. You know the Illuminati cards. I showed them to you many times over. Oh, look, there's one of Vatican City. How funny. We're about to talk about Vatican City. but there is one on earthquake causing a machine causing an earthquake. There's an Illuminati card. These cards were put out in 1992 and 93. So if they were put out back then imagine what the technology again that Spirit just said, this new technology that's coming. Imagine how powerful it is. They don't even know because they haven't tried it yet. Going back to potential places to be hit by earthquakes with this technology would be again Russia, China, and even North Korea. 3 places to watch very closely for weather manipulation, weather warfare events taking place. Again, Russia, China, and North Korea. I also, Spirit's warning India, not that it has connected at all to this technology, but I get a warning for a massive earthquake for India. And I think that's more natural than anything. I would also warn again China, North Korea, as being the potential targets of this earthquake technology. I remind you again that there is an Illuminati card on earthquake technology. I want to warn our friends, our Canadian friends, who may reside anywhere close to the areas that are on fire or that have recently burned. Spirit shows me that this is going to be soon followed by devastating floods that are going to hit parts of the regions over the next few months, especially when we get into September. So I warn everyone to pay very close attention to the period of time beginning in September through the month of November, and actually really through the whole rest of the year, September to the end of the year. Now, not only will this be a time and a cycle that's going to bring about the most devastating shifts in our climate, massive storms and earthquakes, but it's also going to be a time between September and December where we are once again going to experience major shifts in our consciousness, a DNA upgrade, so to speak. So something I will go more into detail about later on in this episode. I think we're halfway through. I think. Don't quote me on that. A 6.4 earthquake just hit exactly where I warned, right on the peninsula down in Mexico, right where it comes out at the bottom of California, that little peninsula. I don't know what they call that, but there was just a 6.4, and I was pulled to that area, I think in my weather prediction video. So if you missed that, check it out. Hurricanes and Weather Predictions is what the name of the video is. I'll try to make sure that there's a link that pops up here after this airs so that you can check it out. Now, also a 4.8 quake hit in France. I did warn France and Italy, but I warned mostly Italy and Greece, actually. And there was just a 7.2 earthquake in the Tonga. Again, the Tonga is being hit. And Spirit shows me that the Tonga is very active below the Earth's plates. And I would warn those in and around the Tonga that an even greater earthquake and even greater activities yet to come in the Tonga. And again, this could be related somehow to my visions in the past of island sinking, because that just popped in my mind. It feels to me that the activity is going to pick up again right now. Right now, as we speak, it's picking up for the solstice, just in time for the solstice. I would tell you not to be at all surprised to see an actual large earthquake hit on the solstice tomorrow. If you're watching this today, Tuesday. But again, it's already Wacky Wednesday on the Southern Hemisphere. So I would say, not the Southern Hemisphere, the other side of the planet. So I guess Thursday for them. I don't know when their solstice is, what date, but it should be the 21st, but they're ahead of us. So that might be today for them, actually. And then tomorrow for us. So I would tell you to don't be surprised at all to see something really big occur. It wouldn't surprise me. Other than that, I also want to refer you back to my hurricane weather prediction video for more information about that. And again, I believe the most significant earthquake activity that's going to occur this year, other than what happened earlier this year with Turkey and such, is going to be again between that period of September through December, that last third of the year. It's going to be a doozy, especially with weather. So, and something big happening also right around Friday the 13th, October 13th. So I want my friends, especially on the East Coast of the United States and then the southern east parts of the United States, that I feel something really strongly is brewing and the vibration with the airflow and alignment with the flowing of the air. And this indicates to me that some sudden powerful storms are about to start rising up out of nowhere, not just in the United States, but really basically all over the place over the next week, over the next 7 days, mainly over the next 5 days. I see so many visions of tornadoes. I saw some small ones. I saw some huge ones, but I also saw a vision uh looking at it. It was more of a field and trees in the background in this vision, and I saw 4, maybe 5 tornadoes all breaking out, coming out and going up. It was a really wild vision. It looked like something out of a horror movie, actually. Kentucky popped in my mind really strongly today, as did Arkansas and Oklahoma, so I warn our friends there. Let's move on to the Vatican and the Pope, because love your water. The Holiness Pope Francis, as we all know, has been battling health issues since the year began. He is in his 4th year. And I predicted in the 2023 World Predictions that Pope Francis was in his 4th year and would be having major struggles with his health, which he's definitely having. He just had surgery, I believe. And sometimes, when it comes to the 4 vibration, it can bring about health issues. You're forced to look at your life. You're forced to make changes. And if you don't, you can end up in a casket or, in a, what do you call it? Kiln, if you're being cremated. You don't want that to happen. I remind you, too, that we saw the Queen Elizabeth. She was in her 4th year when all that happened and she passed. So I've been feeling for quite some time that something really big is brewing behind the Vatican walls. And part of me feels like Pope Francis's life is actually in danger. Don't know why, but it just was it was a surprise when I got that feeling today. And I'm not clear exactly how his life is in danger or why, but we can only guess that someone must be eyeing up his seat of power. It's my easy guess. And we all know that really, in reality, Lucifer sits on the throne behind those walls and behind those 7 hills, because it's all spoken about in the Holy Bible. I feel that shocking events are coming that compare to the shocking and not so shocking, shocking and not so shocking information that happened, decades ago with the priests and the little ones. So I feel like that was shocking to people and shocking to the church. I feel like something along those lines, even more so shocking, is coming. So the Spirit shows me that there's so much hidden behind those walls and protected by some dark entities who have been controlling humanity really generally for quite some time. Now, interesting, because the Vatican just spoke out about the recent whistleblowers' accusation of the church covering up UFO and alien life. It is so easy to believe that they would do so, friends, because that would contradict everything that they pushed on humanity for, thousands of years. That, the Catholic Church specifically, not Christianity, but the Catholic Church, there's a huge difference. So don't mix up my words. Totally different. And look at who controlled everything for so many generations. The church, the Catholic Church, not Christianity, the Catholic Church. Big difference. Huge difference. So the Vatican official, here's the article, Vatican analyst, Vatican official denies whistleblowers Mussolini era UAP cover-up and claim. Oh, that's right, the Mussolini one. I forgot about that one. The Vatican official has denied this recent claim of the whistleblower involving the cover-up of an extraterrestrial craft. David Grush, a decorated Air Force veteran and former senior intelligence officer, reported to the media outlets that the Debrief and News Nation classified information about government's possession of a craft of non-human origin has been illegally withheld from Congress. Yeah, we know that. We know all that. But again, the church is of course, responding to this. Historically, it has been reported that Mussolini documented UAPs as demonstrated by the Italian Secret Service's internal memo showing drawings of the craft, according to News Nation. It was the first documented retrieval before the next one occurred in Roswell, New Mexico. The Italian government moved it into a secure base in Italy for the rest of the fascist regime until 1944 and 1945, where it was then moved over. It was the then Pope Pius VII who informed the Americans of the craft, according to this whistleblower. Very, very interesting. And you know, friend, you know it's all true. You know it is. You just know it, because that would end their religion. That would make people totally, and really that's what they want. And we really, it's so bizarre. The whole thing's so bizarre. So this is extremely very plausible, very believable. And, you know, as for the truth of aliens walking among us, yeah, they are already. We know that. And people finding that out and finding out the truth would kind of be the final nail in the Vatican's coffin. So this would change the already false history that we've been brainwashed to believe. Spirit says that this is the century and the decade that we're in right now, in which humanity will discover so many shocking truths that will change our way of life and our beliefs forever, taking humanity up onto another level of evolution and enlightenment. So beware. There we go. Beware of many truths and also lies to deceive us, of course, but that awareness is coming. And remember, the Bible does tell us that Lucifer was the most beautiful angel. He was a master musician and a master deceiver as well. The master deceiver. So Spirit taught me a long time ago that absolutely everything and anything is not as it appears to be. And this is because we were born on terrain here on earth that's kind of controlled by Lucifer and his fallen angels. And if we look at history, the Vatican and the Catholic Church and all that is all connected. It's all connected. So I forgot to skip spaces here. So what a better way to deceive humanity. Think about this, friends. What a better way to deceive humanity than to create a false worship or a false religion to worship false gods. The Pope and the Bible warns against false gods and false gods before us, and nobody's to be referred to as God. And what? The Pope is called what? The Holy Father. We call the Pope the Holy Father, and the Bible states very clearly that absolutely no one should be referred to as the Father except for the Father himself and Jesus Christ. So, and then we call priests Father, right? We call the priest Father too. And to me, the Holy Father, both clearly go against what the Bible tells us. I mean, it's what the Bible teaches. You can't argue with the teachings. And that's what they do want to be referred to. To me, that's a sure sign of manipulation by Lucifer and his fallen angels, who do not want us to know the truth. And why? Because they don't want us to know that we've been deceived, that we already have been under control of the dark entities and fallen angels that are about to be unleashed upon humanity. But again, I assure you, the light always wins in the end, and the truth will prevail. And goodness and all will come before Jesus walks this planet again. So back to the Vatican, we certainly are in amazing times. We really are in amazing times, friends. Amazing times, and we are going to get to hold witness to changes within the church and global changes that our ancestors would have never, ever dreamed or imagined possible. Amazing Vatican discoveries are coming. Amazing is what Spirit said. Like the Spirit was like shouting, amazing Vatican discoveries are coming. Secret hidden knowledge is going to be unveiled eventually, is what also Spirit showed me, all coming out from beyond the Vatican walls. So remember also that the Vatican is owned by the Vatican owns the most powerful, I don't think it is anymore, but it used to be, the most powerful telescope in the world. And that telescope was named Lucifer. I believe they changed the name of it because people caught on. Why does the Vatican own a telescope called Lucifer, the morning star? What are they looking for out there in outer space? Planet Nibiru, I could tell you, is what they're looking for. So consider this. The Pope is truly dying. I mean, technically we all are, some will say. But the Pope is definitely not in a good place. He's old. He's older than my pop. And pop's, what, 84? So the Pope's, I think, 86, something like that. So his body's giving out. And now we have this whistleblower coming out with the church's cover-ups of alien existence, whether it be true or not. You take it with everything with a grain of salt. But then we had the incident in Vegas, the backyard alien event, which did confirm, Spirit did confirm, was somewhat of a real event, somewhat, and a planned psyop as well. So it was all planned, which is meant to bring about something much, much bigger, friends. I mean, like huge, whatever this agenda is. And then we also had Dr. Stephen Greer's disclosure event. All three of these. So I remind you all that we are in that 7 vibrational year. And the 7 vibrational year is all about spiritual ascension. Friends, it's all about religion. It's all about spirituality. So of course the Vatican is going to be in the scopes in this year, the 7 vibrational year. Of course our beliefs in aliens and the truth about that would end up being revealed in a 7 year. It would make the most sense. So yes, some more disclosure you can expect to come out like on wild levels. But the thing is remembering what to believe and what not to believe. Remember, nothing is as it appears to be. So we always have to read in between the lines. So this 7 spiritual year of ascension that we're in, of course we're going to see UFO alien stuff being shoved down our throats in the 7 year as well, because keep in mind that the evildoers, the elite that control all this, the black ops and the men in black and all those people, if they're even people, they know exactly what they're doing, and they know everything when it comes to astrology and numerology, and they even have their own psychics and probably all kinds of amazing things that would blow our minds that they've held from us, communicating with deceased loved ones and so forth. That's another proven theory, and Nostradamus used it. He sat in a mirrored egg that took him into different dimensions. So, it does exist. Russia did experiments on the same thing. So all these things that they don't want you to know about, but they know the numbers, they know astrology. So you don't think they're going to use this 7 vibration to their advantage to help ascend humanity to the level that they want you to ascend to, instead of the level that the divine and Jesus would want us to ascend to? So watch yourselves, friends, with what's coming out in the near future. Everything's going to change. Everything's going to be different. And I'll go into that in a few minutes, a little bit more in depth. But just watch the deception and know that they use numbers and everything. So we got folks like Dr. Stephen Greer, who, whether we want to admit it or anybody wants to admit it or not, Spirit said he's a CIA asset being used by the CIA. And maybe he don't know it. He might actually not know it or realize it. Or maybe he does and doesn't care and wants to get this information out. Look at shows like Skinwalker Ranch. Dr. Travis on that show is a CIA operative. Worked for NASA. He admits it. He talks about still working for NASA. They are not going to. He's on that show specifically to make sure that nothing gets recorded or it's put out there. Everything is monitored. Come on, the billionaires at the top of this thing. You don't think that billionaire that bought that ranch has something to do with the elite? Of course he does. It's all connected. And they already know it's there. It's kind of interesting. They already know. The government knows. So maybe the billionaire isn't connected. Maybe he's one of the few billionaires that isn't. But they sure threw a NASA employee onto the show to make sure everything goes the way they want it to go for your viewership, for you to view what they want you to see. We have alleged UFO crashes and a video from that UFO crash. I don't know if you noticed, but remember the video? I did a video on the UFO alleged crash in Vegas. And we just found out that blue light falling in that crash that they caught on a Ring camera was a month prior. So it wasn't related at all. So it's a bunch of baloney. So we know that they put things together that didn't go together. A psyop, friends. Definitely what it is. And those people, I don't believe those people that saw what they saw, witnessed what they witnessed, are part of the psyop. I believe they were just used and manipulated by whatever they did. So they believe what they saw, and they definitely saw something. And, leave it at that. But this is all part of a much bigger plan, is what Spirit showed me. A much bigger plan much bigger plan in which the CIA and the elite doers are all part of. And part of their plan, remember, they want to destroy religion, friends. They want to destroy, especially Christianity. You've heard the stories of people that claim that they were abducted by the Greys and mention Jesus Christ's name and they get flashed right back into their bed. So perhaps them being the falling angels. I do believe that some alien species could be fallen angels, but I don't believe they all are. We can't look up in outer space and think that there isn't somebody out there that's more evolved than us that can visit our planet. Like, you'd be like really less than smart, naive, and probably, I don't like to use the word, but we'll say less than smart to look out there and believe that. And believe that every alien that's visited this planet is a fallen angel. Nope, not at all. But I do believe some can be, maybe the Greys. Who knows? But they're also spirits and not incarnated. But the devil, again, is a deceiver. He can make things appear and disappear, make you believe you're seeing what you're not seeing. So, that's what we got to consider. That's what we really got to consider, friends. So remember, they want to destroy Christianity. Why do they want to destroy Christianity so bad? There must be some legitimacy in Jesus Christ being able to save you. Or otherwise, they wouldn't be suppressing it and trying to get you away from Jesus. So repent, friends, repent. They don't want you praying. What they want you to do is pray to them as gods. Just like if you look back at the ancient history of the Anunnaki people who came to Earth and they were worshipped by the Egyptian people as gods, even though they weren't gods. That manipulated our DNA because that considered them to be gods too, because they were able to create things that the humans didn't see before. Just again, follow the history, follow the money too on top of it. So that we know that's the case. So kind of like the Vatican wants folks to pray to the Pope and wants you to tell your sins to a priest acting the role of what? God. If you're going and telling and committing your sins to a priest behind a wall, the priest is supposedly acting as God. No false gods before me, says the Holy Bible. Just saying. But that's what the evildoers want. They want you worshiping them as gods. And so, all things to keep in mind, friends. Back to Dr. Greer for a moment and some of the comments that folks left here last week defending his legitimacy. I never actually stated that he was not legit. I simply stated that he was without a doubt an asset to the CIA, whether he be aware of it or whether he not be aware of it. But at this point, I think that he should be aware of it because some folks consider this. So many folks have disappeared or ended up dead for revealing secrets. Secrets not even as big as the secrets that Greer has talked about. And sharing their own experiences. Look at the people that disappeared and ended up dead from sharing their actual experiences on top of it. Now, Greer gets to walk around and still get to say everything. And he's still good and going, right? He's untouched. Why? Why have they not touched him, but they touched everybody else? He would have to be taken out. He could have been taken out 10 times over by now, right? And for legitimate reasons in their minds anyway, but he has not. We got to really consider why not. Even if Stephen's legit and sincere, he would kind of have to be a fool or a bit naive not to know that he was, being used by the opposing forces of evil. So, prayers to him that he don't end up, because remember also, they took out Dr. Rashid just recently, and Greer still stands. Dr. Rashid was obviously not an asset to their evil agenda, so they took him out, and they put a nail in his coffin, and they needed to bury whatever he said and his truth. And sadly, his truth was buried. Even though he did get some of that truth out, Dr. Rashid, beforehand, but you simply cannot reveal and expose powerful levels of deep state without paying dearly a price for it, and doing so and paying a big price for it, unless they happen to be the ones feeding the information as a form of a psyop. Just things to consider, friends, things to consider. Here's another one I thought was kind of disturbing in that whole disclosure thing. Is the disclosure that the guy said that they were using UFOs to, for people that are caught up in the traffic. I don't want to say it, but you know what I'm talking about. For helping people get caught up in traffic using UFOs. I believe that. You know why? Because if you recall, I did say in the past that UFOs would be utilized in acts of war. I thought I had that all in here. I thought I typed it in. Maybe I missed it. But I said that they in last predictions that UFOs would be. Oh, actually, let me go back to that prediction too. I forgot about that. After Dr. Rajid, I totally forgot this whole thing. In the past predictions, I did state that there would be a UFO caught on film crashing, and it would go viral too fast for them to be able to cover it up. And I do not believe that this is the case with the Vegas backyard alien. I feel that we still have yet to see that prediction come into light. So we will see that prediction come into light in the future, and this will be real. I also had visions of a reversed engineered UFO being used as an act of war. Remember, I said that, I think, in my January predictions for the year. And we have not witnessed that yet that we know of. Trafficking human lives utilizing a UFO, to me, is an act of war. It still isn't proven. It's just somebody blowing a whistle, and there's no solid proof. So just like there's no solid proof of white hats versus black hats, which I'm going to talk to after we talk about Hollywood for a minute, because Spirit told us things were going to unravel when it comes to Hollywood, right? And the spirits and the evil that's lurking along the streets of Hollywood. Now we have Mel Gibson, if you haven't heard, who made a big pledge to expose the truth and is allegedly working on a new movie, or did the work on the new movie that's coming out July 4th called Sound of Freedom. And that movie was put together by a former CIA operative, Tim Ballard, who's basically a hero for kids as far as I'm concerned. As far as we all should be concerned, he should be getting medals of honor because he saved so many little ones, all ages, doesn't matter, and continues to do so. And that's what this movie, Sound of Freedom's all about, which is shockingly being executive produced by Tony Robbins, who I just personally, that guy makes me want to vomit. I do not, there's something about him I just do not like. Mel Gibson, Hollywood elite are trying to kill me for exposing a PEDO ring. Mel Gibson is living in fear of his life after vowing to expose an elite ring. You know the ring we're talking about. Operating at the heart of the Hollywood system. According to Gibson, Hollywood elites have already tried to cancel him, silence him, and destroy his career, none of which worked because we, the people, understand that he is telling the truth, right? He totally is. We know it. And they look at what they did to that man over and over. And remember, he did the movie The Passion of Christ. Wow, what a great movie that was. Phenomenal. Anyway, the mainstream media quickly pounced on Gibson's revelations. Deployed fact checkers, of course they deployed their fact checkers, including Snoops, to declare the comments fake news and proceeded to delete every video and article from the internet. Orwell warned us that in the future, the elites would memory hole inconvenient information. And this is exactly what the elites did with Gibson's revelations about Hollywood. In short, Mel Gibson's voice was silenced. Now, 6 years later, Mel Gibson is now declared that he has got nothing left to lose, and he is determined to play a part in eradicating the world of the elite rings that are getting people caught up in traffic. Before we dive in, so interesting, right? Mel Gibson is a Capricorn born on January 3rd, and Mel is in a 2 personal year like me, which means last year he came up with ideas and things that he really wanted to put his heart into, and this year he's making it happen. And it looks like he's utilizing those numbers to his advantage perfectly. So go Mel. We hold him in the light because he's definitely helping to make something amazing, reveal amazing things. And this goes back to my prediction of things unraveling around Hollywood. We see it. We see people moving out of Hollywood, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger. There's going to be three huge, Spirit's telling me this now, 3 huge Hollywood whistleblowers. Huge. So And Mel isn't one of them, they just said. So it'll be interesting to see. And I feel like they're coming 2 and 1. So I feel like two whistleblowers are coming together and one's over here. Unless it could be like two males and a female or two females and a male. I don't know. But Spirit shows me 3 and separates them. 2 over here, 1 over here. So we'll have to see how that plays out. What else plays out is white hats and black hats. We have been hearing a lot over the past few years, since 2016 to be exact, about these so-called groups that exist that are known as the white hats, and then the opposing group who are out there fighting against the opposing group, the black hats. We hear it all the time. You see it even on YouTube with videos. Oh, white hats are stopped people at the border. White hats did this. And, it's the same story as light versus dark, friends. It's the same thing. Light versus dark, white hat, black hat. But is there really any truth to this? Because, I wanted to dabble into this a little bit. Because, I wear a black hat. So, you can imagine the theories that people put in the comments and stuff and the rumors that people start. And apparently you don't know me or my heart because you wouldn't say anything negative if you did. So there's lots of haters out there, and it doesn't matter what color hat they wear because it really doesn't matter. But what's the truth behind this? Because we all actually started to hear about this, if you recall. This all began to ignite when the conspiracy group started up back in 2016. And that's when the whole white hat, black hat thing became a thing. But was it really when it became a thing? Because really it wasn't. It actually predates that. So again, I want to just remind you again that the Holy Bible talks about Lucifer as being a beautiful angel who is the greatest deceiver and can get everyone who hears his song to follow him because he's the master musician, right? So are people following a song, Lucifer's song, that's really following the wrong direction? Think about it. Because I want you to think about a couple other things about colors of hats. But let me read this where it really kind of started, because it actually really started back in the Old West, right out here in Arizona, in the Wild, Wild West. The first season of the hit TV show Westworld. A key character chooses to wear a white hat when he enters the Western-themed park, compared to his black-hatted companion. He starts out a gentleman. He doesn't want to drink or sleep with any prostitutes or randomly shoot the park's robotic hosts. But his hat becomes dirty, and he makes a very big transformation when he changes and switches to a black hat. So hello, that wasn't the first one. I believe the first one, I can't find it here, was in 1903, the Great Train Heist or something, where some of them did have black hats, but there was also, if there was a starting point of the idea of bad guys wear black hats, it's the very beginning of Western films in 1903, when Edwin S. Porter shot the Great Train Robbery in Milltown, New Jersey. I remember I saw all that too. Very cool. I don't know what they did with that train, but it was there for a long time, all that stuff from that movie set, because our parents used to drive us by it going to the Jersey Shore. But anyway, and far from the actual West, of course, in the film, 12 minutes, it's a 12-minute film, a group of gangsters hold up a bank, rob a train, and eventually receive their blurred out. It's so bizarre. Received whatever they stole. We'll just put that in there. There's no clear hat symbolism in the film. The gangsters all wear hats, some lighter than others, because it was a black and white film. So you couldn't really tell if the hat was black. It could have been purple, blue, or pink. So, but there's one moment in the Great Train Robbery that's more memorable than the rest. And that moment is at the end, where all of a sudden the camera clearly shows the face of one of the gangsters in a close-up, pointing his gun at the audience. He shoots 1, 2, 6 times, and he's wearing a black hat. But, I just thought it was really kind of interesting. I was like, where did this come from? Like, who started this? Because legitimately, there is absolutely 100% no proof of such an existence of such a group. And people say, oh, they did this and they did that. But really, we haven't really seen any proof or evidence of any of this being done. We do know that the Illuminati exists because we track the history of it, and there's a history and a paper trail of it. There's no history or paper trail of a group called Black Hats or White Hats. So we could say good guys, bad guys, sure, same thing, whatever. But it doesn't matter what color their hat is. I remind you, as a child of the 80s and a big fan of Bo Duke at the Dukes of Hazzard, what was his name? Boss Hogg, who was an evil, sinister, rich man, were all white, including a white hat. And if you take the letter K and you make it into three, the triple Ks, they wear white too. So white hats, black hats, really, it's just whatever you want to, good guys, bad guys. But it doesn't matter what color the hat is as to whether they are good or bad. Just saying. I thought that was important because you hear a lot about it, and I just was curious where it all came from and why. What's the whole point? But now we know. It started and there was another one. I forgot to tell you the other one because it became really big again, starting in Western films in the early 1900s, but it came big in 1969. That's right. The Chrysler White Hat commercials is what it was called. The Chrysler White Hat commercials. Come in and get your car with white hat discounts. You can Google and look it up for yourself. I'm not going to play any of the commercials today. I just have a few more topics I want to talk about that are important as we move on to other news. In other news, Alaska fiber optic lines were severed, and they claim that it was from an iceberg. Spirit says, oh no, it wasn't. It was China, actually, in accordance to Spirit. Remember my warnings and my worries and concerns for Alaska and modern day Pearl Harbor potential and all kinds of things I've said about Alaska over the since the beginning of this year. And remember my warnings to them. And this clearly shows that my feelings and worries towards Alaska residents is really plausible. So was it cut by an Earth iceberg? Please, come on. We have pipelines being blown up and now a severed fiber optic line for communications. Iceberg all of a sudden did that? First time ever? Come on, friends. You know just as well as I do that it was cut purposely. And it was cut purposely in a combination of China and probably Russia too, but Spirit specifically did say China. Speaking of China, why are now in Taiwan Americans being evacuated from Taiwan? What does the United States know that we don't? Because they're all connected, of course. Biden's paid for by China, like many politicians. They're all corrupt, all of them, not just JB, but all the rest of them. So what do they know? If they're evacuating Americans from Taiwan, what's the plan? What's going to happen? I don't feel like anything yet, but July is going to be an intense month. So tune into my July predictions when I do them, always on the first of the month, they get put out. Always get put out when I can earlier for my friends that support me on Subscribestar Awaken Your Spirit community, where you can also find the notes and the manuscripts to my show and predictions, which I am due to post on them up there, actually. Usually do that at the end of the month and the beginning of the month. I talked about years ago, malls going out of business and closing, including movie theaters becoming, a thing of the past. And we've seen so many businesses closing down right now, Walmarts and Targets and all grocery stores, and the list is endless. But also malls, and a mall just closed in California. I think it was San Diego. I can't remember. I think it was San Diego. But yeah, a mall just closed down. So that aligns with my prediction a couple years ago. I said that. Before all the COVID and all broke down, I said I saw malls closing and movie theaters closing. And movie theaters, I've been getting that for years and years. Well, it looks like we're in those times where those are coming into fruition. Speaking of Taiwan and military and all, why are all these military moving into cities like Philadelphia and all over the weekend? It was all over on Twitter and social media. People were sharing video clips of all these military tanks and all kinds of things mowing through cities, big places. Why is that happening? Well, again, if they're pulling everybody out of Taiwan, Americans, and now they're supposedly doing drills, they're supposed to be drills. I don't know, man. I practically lived in Philadelphia. I never saw tanks going down the streets of Philadelphia, ever, except maybe near the bases, which are in Northeast Philadelphia. That's not even in the city. This was in the city. Put these two things together, evacuating Americans from Taiwan and now doing drills in our big cities. The United States is about to do something that I hope we don't regret. Putting our nose somewhere where it don't belong. But if they're doing this, there's a reason. They know something. And I don't think they know something that China's going to do. I think they know something that they're planning to do within our corrupt governments. So beware, friends. Beware. We're going to see more and more of this. I don't feel like right now there's anything to fear. Like, things are going to happen in July, of course. Things are always constantly happening. So again, just make sure you subscribe. I want to thank you all who click that like button as well, because I love you. And so that way you don't miss my July predictions or anything else I have to say. Did you see that Italy is changing Pride Month to Family Pride Month? Which, kudos to them. Hey, I'm all about pride. But family pride too. It should be both. Why not be both? Why can't we celebrate individual pride and family pride? Because families have been destroyed. It's part of their agenda. It's been written about in books. Destroy the family, disassociate people from each other, disconnect people, cause a division. I mean, that's what they're doing. So, family pride, every day should be family pride. Every day should be pride. It shouldn't be just 1 month or 1 week or 1 day. It should be every day. Did you see I talked about big systems going down, internet going down, different servers going down, credit card servers or whatever. And just over the week, I think it was the weekend, Reddit went down. And so did Amazon once again. And parts of Amazon servers. And I forget who's, all these companies use Amazon servers. It's really pretty bizarre, actually, more than you would have ever known. Doctors, if you have a doctor that's, up to par with computerized, technology, it runs on Amazon servers. So when Amazon servers go down, so does your doctor's office, and so does the CIA, friends. The CIA runs on Amazon servers. And there was big problems with that and Reddit over the weekend, causing problems. But what people worry is Reddit did a thing like Twitter and started charging a fee for something, and then they went down. So is it associated? Probably. And I want to end you with these two things today. Something big and something huge is about to happen, and everything the way we know it today is about to change by the time we exit 2023. It's going to continue through this whole decade. So 2020s is about new vision, new things, all about new discoveries, good things, and some challenging things as well. But to me, Spirit keeps giving me, as we progress through this year, I get a stronger and stronger feeling about the time period of September through October during that next energy shift. And the whole last part of the year, September through December, because we start another retrograde in September into October and then again in December. So that whole time period, and I feel that some of my predictions revolved around the current administration in the United States is about to all collapse, meaning that I said Biden wasn't going to fulfill his 4 years, that something was going to happen, and I believe that time's coming. It's coming soon, very, 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 very soon. I think Biden's in his 1 year, I think. I can't remember. But I feel that he's going to be pushed out. And if you look at my past predictions, I did say Kamala I didn't see her in there long. Like, I see her stepping in, but stepping out. So who's going to take their place? Because I feel like major changes are coming to this country that we're in. And I hope it's not because our country goes down completely overnight in the next couple months. But our leadership will. And I'm hoping that's a good thing, because the current leadership stinks big time. It's the worst leader since, what's his name? I just drew a blank. I can't think. Oh, Jimmy Carter. Don't they say he was the worst one? Well, not no more, Jimmy Carter. You can go down out of this life knowing that you won't go down as the worst president ever. Now it will be JB. But I do feel like major changes, not just to the United States, but globally. Some of this entails or includes the WEF's sick agenda. Something big. Not only that, I feel huge, big Earth events are coming by September, including, this could be a few examples: massive earthquakes, could be a massive hurricane, the big storm that I talked about, them manipulating, hitting, say, the East Coast of the United States or somewhere else like Africa. It could align to the predictions I made about a tsunami coming. But whatever it is, it's many, many things, friends. It's not just one big event. I mean, major, major events are coming by September, October, November, December, especially again, that September, October window. Look for something on Friday the 13th. Of course, there's a card for that, an Illuminati card for that, by the way. And I'm going to leave you with this final thought for now, because I'll see you all again tomorrow for Q&A. So remember to leave your questions down below. I leave you with this final word and this final thought. With all the horrors going on globally, the fears being put out by mass media, and the struggles that we endure on our own personal life paths, the only fear that we should embrace is the fear of not doing what is right. Right for yourself and for the good of all. You are an amazing individual, and you hold very amazing, special, magical powers to manifest and make your dreams become a reality, regardless of what anybody else may tell you. Unplug from the fear if you need to. Unplug from the fear and focus on the many blessings and miracles that are flowing into your life. Focusing on the negative and doing so with fear causes one to become blinded by that fear and no longer seeing and witnessing or experiencing the true blessings our divine creator and Mother Earth has to offer. The more we shift our focus on positive, the more you will witness and realize how truly blessed and powerful you actually are. Holding gratitude every day, as many times a day as possible, for the simple things that your daily life offers. This will open you up to even more blessings and miracles, and that will bring you to an even more amazing level of daily gratitude. Gratitude for the life that you are so blessed to live and experience. Remember, the future, especially your own future, your personal future, is in your own hands, friends. So I tell you, no matter what, always be bold, be true, be kind, be you, because you are friggin' awesome. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Spiritman JT signing off. Namaste. Much love, friends. Much love.